ARCA Menards series. All the teams are ready.
Long day, have fun. Let's go win this.
Green flag is in the air.
This is a great opportunity for these guys to showcase their talent.
It's so much more intense than I anticipated.
We have trouble. Hard contact. We got a big crash. This is a big one. I think we're going to see them in victory lane many more times. We are ready to go racing.
Welcome to the Short Lunch 250 on FS1, presented by Dutch Boy Paints at Elko Speedway in Minnesota. It's a short track Saturday night on the 3/8 of a mile oval for race number 12 in the ARCA Menards series. And a good night for racing with the sun going down, and William Sawalich, he dominated last week, now looking for 4 wins out of the last 5. Let's go trackside for the command to fire engines.
Race fans, it's now time for the most famous winners in motorsports. We're bringing in the Chief Operating Officer of Homegrown Family Foods, Keith Vines. Let's hear it. Drivers, start your engines!
The engines are fired. William Sawalich dominating, led every lap at Salem Speedway in southern Indiana last week. Brent Stover alongside Phil Parsons. So Sawalich, he's the headline, but at the top of the points, a good race right now between Andres Perez and LeVar Scott.
Yeah, Brent, we knew that Andres Perez was going to be strong. He was a rookie last year, runner-up in the points. This year he started out with a 12th place finish at Daytona and nothing but top 10 since. Runner-up his last 2 races. LeVar Scott had a bit of a struggle to start the year. His first 3 races, his average finish was 19th, but the last 8 races, his average finish better than 7th. 3 top 5s his last 3 starts here. These guys will battle all the way to the end of the year, and it's been really fun to watch. But for them to get to victory lane tonight, there's another guy that you just mentioned that they're going to have to fight with, and that's William Sawalich. Remember, he had his issues last year here in this race. You see him battling with a 20, contact a couple different times with Jesse Love, and then he tries to get in the hole. Not enough room there. Sean Hingorani turns him around. Sean Hingorani is in this field. Jesse Love is not. There's another look at that spin, though. But we know that William Sawalich has been so strong all year. You mentioned he's going for 4 wins in his top 5, so he is definitely the car to beat.
Okay, for another driver to watch, perhaps a driver to beat tonight, we say good evening for the first time trackside to Heather DeBow. Heather?
Well, good evening, Brent. And another driver that could be an upset winner here tonight is the number 55 of Isabella Robusto. The last time we saw her here in the National Series was at her ARCA debut in Phoenix, where she ran in the top 3 and finished 6th. She's also been competing in the East and West Series, where she has multiple top 5 finishes. But tonight, she's hungry to get her first career victory. And if she does show, she would become the first female to win in the ARCA Menards series. But I asked her, what do you got to do to get that done? She said, I'm going to have to beat 2 drivers, the 18 of William Sawalich and the 20 of Sean Hingorani. And she said the biggest challenge is going to be passing lap traffic better than those 2 drivers. So keep your eye on the 55 to put on a show here at Elko Speedway.
Heather, thanks. Looking forward to it. It brings us to tonight's Rookie Spotlight, brought to you by Bounty. It is Isabella Robusto, and that's what she's been able to do in the West Series in particular. Phil, 6th at Phoenix, then in the East, finished runner-up at Nashville. But how about top 10s at Portland, Sonoma, and Irwindale number 1?
Yeah, and Irwindale number 2, she was actually leading the race, running extremely well, cut down a right front tire, and that relegated her to a 17th place finish. Could have been her first West Series win in that second race had it not been for that tire.
Across the bottom of your screen, the starting lineup. We had practice and qualifying earlier this afternoon. Robusto obviously had a really good qualifying session, 2 laps. And she will start on the second row at the bottom. Short Lunch 250, starting grid across the bottom of your screen. Perez, the points leader, starts row number 3. Tony Breidinger starts 9th.
Cody Dennison coming off his career best finish last week at Salem, starting back in the 13th position.
Typically this race goes pretty quickly. We do have weather in the area, but it's not expected, at least for the first half of this race. And once we get halfway through, the race would become official. But with this being the shortest track on the schedule, Typically, we see a lot of green laps, and this thing can go by very quickly. So I wonder what kind of aggressiveness we're going to see out of the top drivers going into this one.
Yeah, I think the race analysis, we take a look at it right here, 250 laps. You see 93 miles on this 3/8 of a mile track. We're going to have a race break around lap 125. Originally, it was going to be a lap 75, but because of that weather you mentioned, they've extended that because that would be after halfway when we have that first break, and then another break, weather permitting, at lap 175. You see Jesse Love won this race last year, and Brendan Poole won the first race here back in early 2010s.
Like we mentioned, there is weather in the area. 1 to go before we take the green. 74 right now. Not much of a wind, partly cloudy skies. It really is a beautiful evening as the sun goes down. A tremendous crowd as always here at Elko in Elko, New Market, Minnesota. The home track of William Sawalich. As if he didn't need any other advantages coming in. He grew up just down the road in Eden Prairie, Minnesota.
Yeah, close to 300 sound gear employees and guests and friends here to root him on in this race.
So Sawalich dominated, leading every lap at Salem last week. 2 races before that in Warren, Michigan. He led all but 5 laps at a win. 17-year-old from here in Minnesota. Off turn 4. Green flag in the air. And we are racing in Elko. Sawalich out to the lead.
The battle's going to be for second. I was wondering if Isabella Robusto could use that third-place starting spot to get to the inside of Chris Wright. Not able to do that. Now she has to contend with LeVar Scott on the outside in that 6 car. Oh, contact.
Contact between the 55 and the 6. Both got a bit loose, and LeVar Scott noses out in front of Robusto.
You wondered if they were going to be aggressive? Yes, they're going to be aggressive.
So it's Sawalich, then Chris Wright, followed by Scott Robusto. Another storyline going in. Venturini Racing. They need a bounce-back night. It was rough last week at Salem for Venturini.
Yeah, all 5 of their cars were involved in accidents. Chris Wright was able to stay on the racetrack and get a 10th-place finish, but a lot of damage. And those guys said, oh, and that's one of their cars right there, the 22 of Amber Balkin. She was the first one last week at Salem that had an issue right on lap number 1. As you can see, she's had an issue here.
That is so frustrating for Balkin. So much potential for her. You mentioned went out early last week. She spins on lap 5 from Elko, Minnesota. Welcome back. The General Tire Pole Award was won today by William Sawalich in the number 18 Starkey Sound Gear Toyota. What else is new? He has been the fastest man on the track all season long.
Sure has. That's 6 poles, which matches his number of poles he had last year. And he's led laps in all 7 races that he's competed in.
2 races ago, I mentioned at Berlin, led all but 5 laps at a win. Then at IRP in Indianapolis, he finished 3rd, and then led every lap at Salem last week. Complete domination to win his 4th victory of the season.
That's his plan tonight, too, by the way.
All right, Amber Balkin spins early, and with more, here's Heather.
And we just saw the 22 of Amber Balkin have a spin similar to last week early on in the race. And when I talked to her earlier, she said, we're really trying to focus on the positives from last week and just make something happen in this race. So once again, she's going to have some patience to move forward in this spot. But her team telling her just to remain calm and just be smart while making moves.
4 top 10s. Her best finish is 7th. Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, she's only being shown 1 lap down, so she could be in the free pass position if we get another quick caution. And sometimes there's our restart line right there, that first of the 2 white lines across the racetrack. And a great restart by William Sawalich.
Saw it all night long in Southern Indiana last week. He was awesome on restarts. Gets another nice one here. Lap number 11 of 250. Sawalich and then Chris Wright, followed by LeVar Scott, who's 2nd in points.
LeVar Scott was able to get the better of Chris Wright on the restart. Actually made a little bit of contact as they entered turn number 3. That cost Chris Wright another spot to Greg Van Alsten at 35. So you can see the nose damage on the left front where that left part of the nose piece is loose. That's the damage from the contact with LeVar Scott.
Van Alsten needs a bounce back night. He was 17th last week, had some issues, but he's up into 3rd early on tonight. You mentioned following LeVar Scott, who begins the night 2nd, points behind Andres Perez, who's back in 11th here early in this race.
Yeah, we talked about that point battle between LeVar Scott and Andres Perez. Well, Greg Van Alst is third points. He actually was leading the points earlier this year. They had a couple of bad races. Here's that contact I was talking about, Brent. Right there, looked like LeVar Scott just eased up a little bit to try to get a little better entrance into turn 3, made contact with that 15 car. Hopefully that nose will stay on that car and not have to necessitate a pit stop.
35 takes advantage. So Wright running back and forth. You mentioned finished 10th, the best of the Venturini cars last week.
You can see the damage from that, and the nose piece is a little bit loose. They can address that during that race break. You see that's the fender brace that's sticking out. That could cut a tire down on somebody else's car if he makes contact, like a lap car possibly.
Goes around the 86, a Brian Club.
Just as long as that brace is not pointing to his tire, that could be catastrophic for Chris Wright. As you can see, Isabella Robusto now in the 55, right on the rear bumper of that 15. Chris Wright in the battle for fourth.
Robusto in the 55, sponsored by Mobil 1. Billy Venturini, the owner. Doug George, crew chief here tonight.
Yeah, solid second fastest in practice, third place qualifying effort, really. But she's done a great job all year long. Phoenix was the first race of the year that she entered and did an outstanding job there. Ran in the top 5 a good part of that race, ended up finishing 6th in her ARCA debut.
William Sawalich out in front. 1.2-second advantage on LeVar Scott.
I was talking to Matt Ross, William Sawalich crew chief, after qualifying, and I said, we know we're going to extend that first race break to lap 125 because of weather. I said, you're going to have to keep an eye on the weather, and would you put your 4 tires on them? Remember, there's 6 tires in the pits for these teams to change. They can do 2 at a time or 4 at a time. They can only have 6 tires total. Normally they would take 2 tires at 125 and then save 4 tires for later. I said, but if the weather's coming, would you put 4 tires on at 125? He said, that's a good question. It depends on how close the weather is.
Game time decision there. So Perez now the 2 cars up inside the top 10 with more. Here's Heather.
Peter Andres Perez. However, they had to go to the back for unapproved adjustments. They had an issue with their gears, so they changed gears and had to go to the back. But I talked to Andres Perez about moving through the field, and he said, I'm really not worried about getting through the field. I'm just worried about getting caught up in wrecks. So right now, another driver having to be patient as he tries to make pass on the 32 of Christian Rose.
Yeah, Christian Rose finished top 5 last week, and he had a string of bad luck at the track, quite frankly, and was really pleased to get 5th at Salem last week. And now Perez trying to go underneath the 32 there as they hit more lap traffic.
That's a great start for Perez to go from the very back of the pack all the way up into the top 10. As you mentioned, battling Christian Rose for that 8th spot, and those are all lead lap cars right in front of him.
So Andres Perez, the points leader to begin the night, running 9th. And it's William Sawalich, the 17-year-old, out front at Elko. ARCA Menards Series Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards, and by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. The Shore Lunch 250, presented by Dutch Boy. Here at Elko Speedway, sun going down. Beautiful setting for short track racing on a Saturday night. And the home track of that man, the 18, William Sawalich in the Toyota out front. Led every lap at Salem last week, has led all 43 laps so far tonight of the 250.
Yeah, it looks a lot like last week, except Salem is banked 33 degrees and him leading every lap, but really doing a nice job. Outstanding start, over 3-second lead. Now trying to put Greg Van Alst a lap down. Greg was running in the 3rd spot just about when we went away to commercial break. Got passed by several cars during that break. Chris Wright now in that 15 has moved up to the 3rd spot. Isabella Robusto to 4th. But as you can see right now, Greg Van Alst going a lap down to our leader, William Sawalich.
And Perez, the 2 car, the leader in points, again started at the back. Heather told us that story moments ago. He's all the way up into the top 5, trailing Robusto.
right in front of our leader. That's a battle for position for the 8th spot. Christian Rose, the 32, has it. That's EJ Tamayo trying to grab that spot from him. They're both trying to keep from going a lap down to Sawalch. Obviously, EJ already a lap down. Now Sawalch is going after the 32 of Christian Rose. Look at that car turn under him. What a great handling car. Again, talked to his crew chief. I said, are you having any trouble at all? He said, well, a little bit tight in the center of the corner. Could actually turn a little bit better. Well, I think he fixed it. Yeah. Because that thing turned on a dime.
Gives Toyota every time out there. Looks fantastic. Tremendous paint scheme here tonight. Tremendous car and a phenomenal young driver in William Sawalch. Again, who still cannot drive all of the big tracks because he's only 17. All right, the 15 is running in the top 3 with more on Chris Wright. Here's Heather.
And Chris made his best qualifying effort today of 2nd place. And I talked to him after practice, and he said, we actually made a ton of changes. He did also watch video of practice and qualifying and the 18 of William Sawalch just to learn and see what he could do better. And he said, I was going way too shallow entering the corner. So he made those changes, was able to qualify 2nd, and currently running top 3.
All right, good stuff. Well, Chris Wright was 2nd at Talladega this season, 6th at Dover, 4th at Kansas. He's had some really nice races. There's Isabella Robusto in the 55 car, running 4th right now, 9 seconds back. She started 3rd, has fallen back to 5th and up to 4th.
Really doing a nice job here. Solid race for her once again. She's been solid every time she's teed it up in one of these Venturini cars. And she has Andres Perez now trying to chase her down as she puts the 0-3 of Alex Clubb a lap down. There's Andres Perez, that white car number 2. Remember, started all the way at the back. He's battled his way into the top 5. Now he's going after Isabella for that 4th spot. Again, we talked at the top of the show, that great point battle we're going to have between Perez and LeVar Scott. Again, the slow start for the season for LeVar Scott is what has him right now 48 points behind. But ever since those first 3 races, they've been pretty much even, and it's going to be a good battle all the way to the end.
There's Perez running 5th. Sawalch out front by more than 5.5 seconds. Sean Hingorani running 6th in that 20 car, which is always good. Of course, Jesse Love was so outstanding last year. There's Perez and what he's been able to do tonight after starting 19th.
One thing we have to mention is big changes on that 20 car that Hingorani is driving. Shannon Rush, who'd been there at Venturini Motorsports for so long, was the architect of that 10-win season last year for Jesse Love. Well, he left that team a few weeks ago. So that team is without the guy that has really been their anchor crew chief over the last few years.
Kevin Reed Jr. top of the box tonight for that 20 car, which runs 6th for Venturini.
There he is right there, Sean Hingorani, a 2-time winner this year on the West.
Yes.
In the West Series, and that was with Venturini cars. He's actually he's 2nd points right now through, I think, 7 races, and he's driven for 4 different teams, and he's 2nd points. He lost that point lead to Tyler Reif, who won the race last time out. But Hingorani having a great season out on the West Coast.
He was 5th at Phoenix, 3rd at Berlin. He finished 3rd 5 times last yeyear, so consistency has been the name of the game for that 20 car, Sean Hingorani.
Remember, with 15-second laps, a little over 15-second laps, it doesn't take long to get around here. The problem is it doesn't take long for William Sawalch to get around to lap cars. You the least bit off anyway, as we saw Greg Van Alst, who got lapped in some other cars, and then Sawalch will be right there on you. There's Tony Breiger right there in the 25 car. She's running right now in the 7th position, and she is actually the last car on the lead lap, about 2.5 seconds ahead of our leader, William Sawalch.
Good looking car, that 25 tonight, Breidinger.
Yeah, Sunoco on board that car. That's the first time I believe I've seen that sponsor on the Venturini Motorsports cars. See, there's Greg Van Alst now getting lapped by these cars, Hingorani as well as Tony Breidinger.
Van Alst, of course, his big moment last year at Daytona, got the win. All right, we talked about the 25 Breidinger. Here's Heather.
And Phil, you're exactly right. This is the debut for her new sponsor of Sunoco. They will be with her. And she said she's really excited about it. A lot of times she brings new sponsors to the sport, but to be involved with a sponsor that's been with NASCAR for over 20 years is just really awesome. In fact, they do have a couple reps here on site that are excited to see Tony run tonight, but she's really proud to be carrying their colors this evening.
Absolutely, in that Sunoco, the 25 Breidinger running top 10 in 7th. Working lap number 67 here at Elko. Welcome back to Minnesota, the Shore Lunch 250 here on FS1. Lap 79, William Sawalich. More than a 7-second lead. It's been domination so far for that 18 Gibbs Toyota.
Yeah, that 20 right behind him, that is Sean Hingarani, our 6th place car that just went a lap down.
He's done a heck of a job weaving through traffic, which is a big deal on this track. Perhaps this will be the Reese's Sweet Lou of the race, the way he's been able to kind of stick his nose in there and weave through traffic.
Yeah, these are 2 lead lap cars he's trying to get by. Tony Breidinger in the 25 as well as Hingarani in the 20 as they lap by Michael Maples in the 99. But outstanding, just not a mark on that car, and he really doesn't need to. He has so much speed right now. There's no sense taking any chances. Just be patient, getting around these cars. And again, these are lead lap cars that he's battling and putting down.
Invite you to visit ARCARacing.com on Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, to see who's crowned Reese's Sweet Lou of the race.
There are a lot of those drivers and teams who are lamenting the fact that we didn't have our first race break at 75, which was the original schedule because of the impending weather, because obviously we would have already been under caution. It would have saved that lap for these 2 right here as the 20 of Hingarani gets completely sideways coming off turn 2. It allows Tony to drive up beside in a battle for that 6th position.
Good battle between 25 and the 20. Teammates for Venturini and the 20.
See smoke on the racetrack.
Second caution of the night. Car spins, it's the 31.
RJ Tackman in the 31 was running in the 12th spot. Doing a pretty nice job here, really.
Lap 86 in Minnesota, a spin for the 31. Beautiful early August summer night. Sun going down. Shore Lunch 250 on FS1 from Elko Speedway in Elko, Newmarket, Minnesota, under our second caution. The 20 car Sean Hingarani gets the free pass there. He was the first car a lap down. He runs in 6th. Let's take a look at today's Suchi fast track driver, William Sawalich, in the number 18 Joe Gibbs Toyota, looking for his 4th win in the last 5 races. He has been sensational this season, starting with that win at Phoenix to kick things off.
Yeah, 8 wins in his career already, 4 this year, 4 last year, and 20 career starts. If my math's correct, that's about 40% of the time he tees it up, he goes to victory lane. You see that great new paint scheme on that 18 car was also announced this week. We've known that he was going to run Xfinity races towards the end of the year. It was announced that his debut will actually be at Homestead, Florida, later in the year, right after he turns 18 years old. So it'll be appropriate that he's got number 18. He's going to turn 18 years old, and he will probably drive the number 19 Joe Gibbs car at Homestead.
Awesome.
Yeah, Andres Perez has made a pit stop, I'm sure, for adjustments. He is on the lead lap. He will fall into the tail end, or should fall in at the tail. We're here in the 32 of Christian Rose, also came down pit road for some adjustments. It's a great time to do that, too. We've run long enough now that these drivers have a feel for what their car is going to do once the tires get up to temperature and up to pressure. And we know we're going to have a break at about 125, so that'll give them about 25 laps to see if it worked or not.
So the 2 and the 32. Down pit road quickly for adjustments. Mentioned the 2 started in the back, 19th. And then 2 cars up in the top 5 before the pit stop right there for Perez. Lap 92, 125 makes it official. Again, we've touched on it. There is weather in the area. 1 to go here before we take the green again. Well, next Saturday, On FS1, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Back in action at Richmond with a final race of the regular season. It's these truckers' last chance to punch their ticket to the playoffs with a win. Engines fire next Saturday, 7:30 Eastern on FS1. Cannot wait for that.
I know it's only been a couple weeks since our last truck race, but it seems like it's been 2 months.
Exactly.
Can't wait for Richmond.
You'll be on the call as always for that race. I'll be on my couch with the popcorn ready to go.
Love it, love it.
Lap 93. Green flag back to the air here at Elko. Sawalich again dives out there. LeVar Scott in the 6 on the outside of the 18. Does Scott have something here for Sawalich?
A great corner for LeVar Scott. Let's see if he can keep Sawalich pinned down to the bottom. You see Sawalich moves up a little bit. LeVar Scott will actually lead that lap here at Elko.
We've finally got a lead change. First time since IRP. Scott.
Great battle. You see these drivers giving each other room. Remember, we're not even at the 100 lap mark yet. A long way to go here.
Door to door, and now the 18 edges out in front of the bottom.
Remember, we're only 30 laps away from that race break. And if you could grab that lead now, whoever has that lead when we get to the race break obviously would be in control for that next restart. Sawalich has that lead back in control once again. Isabella Robusto has been able to move around Chris Wright to grab the 3rd spot. That's her in the 55, 3rd in line there.
So Robusto into the top 3. Right back to 4th. Perez maintains 5th. And Hingorani in 6th. Those are the 6 cars on the lead lap.
See Perez trying to make his way around. Chris Wright on the outside was getting squeezed right there. Wisely backed off. That was all his 19 years of age experience to back off there and not get squeezed into the wall. We saw that happen last year to William Sawalich. He got squeezed in the wall by Frankie Muniz, had to make a pit stop, went all the way to the back of the pack, fought his way back up to the 2nd spot to finish 2nd behind Jesse Love.
Pretty impressive stuff that night. William Sawalich pretty impressive again here tonight. Scott is a 2nd back in 2nd place.
Tony Brangren able to get by Chris Wright. Remember now, Tony's being shown 1 lap down, so she is in the free pass position now if we can stay this way until we get to that race break, or the caution could come out before that, obviously.
Right back underneath the 25 there, Chris Wright.
And this is not a battle for position. Chris Wright, the 15, has that 4th spot. Tony Brangren right now running in the 7th spot, 1 lap down.
Wright makes the pass there on lap 103 of 250 here at Elko. Perez back-to-back 2nd place finishes, runs 5th now in that 2 car. He's never won. He leads the points. He's been so consistent, such a good driver. Still seeking his first victory here in the ARCA Menards series.
I'll tell you a driver I'm really impressed with is that 45 car right there, right behind Andres Perez. That is EJ Tamayo. This is his first ever ARCA Menards series start. Really doing a nice job running up in the top 10, running in the 8th spot, and he's racing with our point leader right now, Andres Perez, and hanging right with him.
EJ Tamayo from Miami, Florida, driving a Ford. Tonight, Ethan Hutchins, his crew chief, and Enrique Tamayo, team owner of that 45 car.
Yeah, got involved in go-kart racing back around the age of 10 years old is where he got his start. Now he runs the Carolina Pro Late Model Series fairly regularly. Has done a good job there, but making his first national start here in the ARCA Menards series.
We saw some surprise drivers finish in the top 10 last week as well. Pretty cool to see that 06 Brayton Laster was able to sneak into the top 10 last week.
Ryan Roulette, who just got put another lap down by our leader, had a top 10 finish, his career best finish last week.
55 is starting to catch the 6. Robusto trying to close in on LeVar Scott.
Been watching the scoring monitor. She has been the 2nd fastest car on the racetrack for the last few laps. Obviously, Sawalich has been the quickest car like he has been all night. But he's not going to lead all the laps in this race.
I love it. got 1 lap led for the 6-car LeVar Scott. At lap 111, it's William Sawalich out front. Battle for second place on lap 123 of the Short Lunch 250 from Elko. LeVar Scott has got second, has been there throughout the night. But that 55 of Robusto turning some fast laps in the first half of this race.
Yeah, she was a couple seconds behind LeVar, chased him down. Obviously now getting to him, only a couple laps to go before we get that first race break. She would dearly love to be able to get by that 6 LeVar Scott before this break, but she's running out of time.
Might have to do trouble. Restart. The 6 is sideways.
Look at the damage
55.
on this. Wow, look at the damage on Isabella's car.
The hood is mangled on that Mobil 1 car of Isabella Robusto.
It might be okay. You see, they take the air in at the bottom part of that grill. They might be able to push that down. Obviously, they're going to have 5 minutes to work on that car, so she may be okay. She lost a spot, obviously, to Chris Wright, but they just got, I think it looked like LeVar Scott maybe got into that lap car, and that seized him up, and Isabella was right there with nowhere to go. Let's take a look at it, Brent, and see what we can see here. You see the lap cars in front of LeVar Scott. He made contact with the 99 of Michael Maples, and it slowed him down, got him sideways, and Isabella was there with absolutely nowhere to go. There's another look at it.
Looks like the 99 turned down a little bit.
It did look like the 99 turned down. Maybe didn't realize that LeVar Scott was there. You see Chris Wright getting by. We stayed green until we got to that break. You can see there's a damage from the back where Chris Wright actually made a little contact with her. But I think Isabella's crew will be able to get that hood fastened back down in the 5-minute break we have here, and I think she's going to be fine.
If there was a time for it to happen, it would be right at our race break at 125. As it is, we're under caution at 128.55 with lap 130. We take a look at the Richmond mid-race report of the Short Lunch 250. Heather from pit road.
And William Sawalich, our leader, told his team that he just lost a little bit of side bite there when they asked him how the race car was. But as he pulled down pit road, he did report that he had low fuel pressure. So the team's going to have to go to work looking at that and checking that out on the 18. But as far as the 6 of LeVar Scott, we saw him have an incident there with the 55 and get into the back of him. The team was asking, do you think there's anything broken in the steering? And he said, I don't think so. So the all that damage, but prior to that incident, he was just tight center.
All right, thank you very much, Heather. So the race break with 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. So some cars with a little bit of damage. They've got a few minutes here to try to figure things out, including the 55 of Isabella Robusto.
Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Obviously, she couldn't see when the hood was up in front of her face, but the guys did a really nice job, Doug George and his team, getting that hood back in position. And again, you take the air in below that Camry logo on the nose, so I don't think that's going to affect that at all. It may have messed up the ductwork a little bit, but I think that should be okay.
And she only lost 1 spot, the 55 of Robusto, running 4th at the race break here from Elko Speedway. Back to Minnesota, the Short Lunch 250 on FS1, presented by Dutch Boy Paints. Lap 130, the race break. Next one scheduled for 175. 55 car. Perfect time for them to get the 5-minute break. They were able to tape down that hood. Let's go back to Isabella Robusto and what she did a month ago at Irwindale.
What a great, outstanding run she had. They had a doubleheader there because of a rain out earlier in the year. She ended up finishing second there to Sean Hingarani, her teammate, and then was doing the job. There she takes the lead early in this race and then cuts down the right front tire, probably headed towards victory, and it ruins her night. That's the only finish she's had outside the top 10 all year long in whatever discipline she's been running, whether it be East, West, or the National Series. You see obviously a little bit of damage repair to that 55 from that incident a few moments ago with LeVar Scott and the lap car of Michael Maples.
She led 58 laps, and you saw the bad luck in that replay of the July 6th race. Happened with 29 to go. Here's what happened moments ago here at Elko.
You see LeVar Scott making a move to the inside. I don't think the 99 of Michael Maples either knew he was there or he was going to get there that fast. And There was contact. The 6 of Lamar's car gets sideways. Isabella with nowhere to go runs into the back of him, but it sure looks like the damage repair was done quite well by the team.
Okay, Heather.
Yeah, they taped down the hood. They wanted to make sure that it was completely taped down so that when she gets back on track, she doesn't have any issues. She did have some left rear damage as well, so they made sure to pull out the fender so there's no tire rubs. But other than that, they said the steering is just a little bit off. They did make some adjustments as well on the handling, air pressure, track bar, and wedge for the 55, but they feel confident that they got that hood taped down securely at this time.
It's pretty good there, huh?
It does, and I was looking at the 15 car, her teammate Chris Wright right in front of her. Remember, he had contact earlier in the race with LeVar Scott. They've made repairs on that car. They've taped that hood down as well, so both of those cars should be fine.
Short track racing, that's what you're
That's what they're going to look like.
3/8 of a mile this oval here in Minnesota. Shortest track in the circuit. Race number 12 of 20 in the ARCA Menards Series 2024 campaign. Andres Perez began the night the points leader. LeVar Scott right there in the 6. He's in second place. Sawalich has won 4 times but can't run the larger racetracks because he is yet to turn 18.
Yeah, it's so impressive that these young drivers are able to do the things they do on these types of racetracks, the racetracks they're allowed to run. It's going to be fun to watch William Sawalich when he gets to those bigger racetracks here later this year.
Michigan will be fun, huh?
Yes,
in a couple of weeks.
We won't see William Sawalich. We'll see Tanner Gray back in that 18 car who won earlier this year at Charlotte. But what a great diversity of schedule here in the ARCA Menards Series. You see Michigan 2-mile high-speed racetrack. Then we're going to go run dirt in the fairgrounds in Springfield, Illinois. Then Milwaukee, that great 1-mile oval at Milwaukee. Back to the dirt. Then a road course. And then you see Bristol, great half-mile concrete racetrack, the great Coliseum. And then Kansas, and then we finish it off at Toledo. A lot of history at Toledo in the ARCA Menards Series.
2 weeks ago, Connor Zilic turned 18 right after that win that he got. And so he's going to race at Michigan. It'll be fun to see him.
Yeah, and I look for him to be extremely competitive.
1 to go. 117 laps remaining here at Elko tonight. Sawalich has led all but one. Brent Stover alongside Phil Parsons, Heather DeBow on pit road. Had a fun night of racing so far. On the last restart, that 6 gave the 18 some business.
From the outside. And look where William Sawalich chose for this restart, the outside.
Interesting. Let's see what the 18 does from the outside of row number 1 with LeVar Scott on his inside.
There's that restart line right there.
Green flag back in the air, the 18. What a restart once again for Sawalich.
I think that was a good choice maybe to go from the outside. Of course, it's such a huge advantage knowing you're the guy that's going to actually set the restart zone and get on that throttle. He's able to do that. Isabella Robusto grabbed that 3rd spot back from Chris Wright. There's a good battle. Perez on the inside on the 2 and Hingorani in the 20 on the outside.
You knew Hingorani wouldn't be patient for long in this race. At some point, he would make his presence felt. This is the battle for 4th with Sawalich out to the lead once again by a half second.
Yeah, Tony Brager was able to get the free pass, so we now have 7 cars on the lead lap.
Hingorani to the bumper of Perez, the points leader, the 2 cars in 5th.
Look behind that 20 of Hingorani. That's the 32 of Christian Rose. That is a battle for the free spot with E.J. Tamayo right there in the 45 car. Behind them is Greg Van Alst, but he's 3 laps down, so he is not involved in the battle for the free pass. But that 32 and the 45 are. How about Christian Rose trying to get underneath that 20 of Hingorani? Again, that is not a battle for position, but if he could put that 20 car in between himself and E.J. Tamayo, we're only about 13, 14 laps.
This thing goes by so quick.
Goes by fast.
111 to go. 250 here at Elko. Race is official. Our next race break is scheduled for on or around lap 175.
We have about 30, a little over 30 laps still. till that next race break. Again, the caution could change that if it were to come right now. See Tomeo trying to make his way by the 20 of Hingorani as well to try to chase that 32 down. Tomeo was ahead of the 32 of Christian Rose when the first race break happened, but Christian Rose was able to get back in front of the 45 of Tomeo on that restart.
Rose in that 32 car, representing West Virginia. Tourism there, and he's got a young son and another one on the way this fall, I believe in November, for he and his wife, and so they're enjoying being young parents as well as living the race driver lifestyle.
I really love what Tomeo did right there. He saw the 25 of Tony Breiger, who was on the lead lap. He moved over because he knows that she was on the lead lap and let her go. Even though he's in a hard-fought battle with that 32 of Christian Rose, I thought that was a heads-up and really classy move by that young driver. And I think that will pay dividends for him down the road, as Tony is going to make her way around Hingorani to grab that spot. Remember, she had to start at the back of the pack because she was awarded the free pass and already up to and racing with cars on the lead lap and getting by her teammate Hingorani.
So Breidinger moves into 6th, Hingorani back to 7th. Rose in 8th. The first car a lap down is that 32. Andres Perez with the 55 of Robusto right on his bumper, looking to move him out of the way. Underneath goes the 55, the 2 slides. And a caution.
Oh,
the
our
18,
leader.
Sawalich gets turned around and damage to the left side of our leader, the 18 car of William Sawalich.
The 99 of Maples involved. You see the damage to that left rear quarter panel of the 18 car. Wow, what a turn of events here, Brent.
Well, that could change everything.
I don't see a lot of damage other than that left rear quarter panel. I know Matt Ross and his guys can pull that out. It's not over for the 18. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. You see the 99 of Maples on the inside. And then I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Why the 99 of Michael Maples just drove into the 18 of our leader, William Sawalich.
So LeVar Scott takes over the lead. Chris Wright into 2nd. With 100 laps to go, Sawalich has led all but 1 lap up until this point. He and Maples get into it, and this is what happened moments ago.
You see the 18 passes, clears him, then backs off for the corner, and it looks like the 99, he never even was turning into the corner. He just drove into the left rear quarter panel of the 18 of Sawalich. Not sure exactly what that was about.
Well, we've seen the talent of William Sawalich early and often this season.
I'm not sure that that 18 is even going to come to pit road, Brent. He may decide to stay on the racetrack. His guys have been able to take a look at that left rear quarter panel. They feel like the quarter panel is not going to rub the tire. They may just leave him on the racetrack.
Well, Heather can add to this. Heather, what do you have?
Phil, you're exactly right. The team took a good look at the left side as he drove by his pit box. They also looked at the right side with the spotter stand. They all feel very confident that he feels okay with the damage. There's nothing that's rubbing, nothing they're overly concerned about. Right now, they're just telling William to shake it off. We can get back in this. And obviously, he knows this track really well. So I think he should be able to get back through the field, but he's been pretty patient over the radio. Not a lot of frustration out of him. Pretty quiet considering what just happened.
Yeah, and really, again, we only have 7. Now we'll have 8 cars on the lead lap, but the 32 of Christian Rose that was able to get the free pass will have to start at the back because of the free pass. But Sawalich, as good as race car as he has now, he just has to have a little patience. Again, just still on the lead lap. He just fell back to the end, lost his track position, but with almost 100 laps to go, I think he has plenty of time with the strength that car has.
Makes it interesting for us, makes it interesting for the fans, especially after his domination last week. And you know, I would think for him, first off, you love hearing the fact, right, that he's remaining calm. But also, this will be interesting to see his talent. We've seen this before, where he's fallen back and had to fight his way back up. This will be a kind of an interesting test here for the 18.
Yeah, I love the way we saw this happen to him last year. Remember, he got squeezed into the wall by Frankie Muniz, had to come to pit road, went to the back of the pack, and then fought his way back to second. So sometimes this adversity that he's going through right now, being put towards the back, will help him. You know, it's one thing to go out and have the best car go out and lead all the laps, but when you have to fight your way back like he did last year here, and I think he probably will tonight, that's going to be a good learning experience for him.
Well, next Saturday, it's baseball night in America on Fox. Rising star Gunnar Henderson leads the Orioles against Jose Siri and the Rays, or the Cubs battle Luis Robert Jr. and the White Sox. It all begins next Saturday, 7 Eastern on Fox. Check for the game in your area.
Your White Sox?
Now, you know, I'm a Kansas City Royals guy. Don't try to pin me to the White Sox there. Always a good battle, north side, south side, Chicago. I'll say your Tigers did beat my Royals, came back to beat them in the ninth tonight. Good. Green flag back in the air. Lamar Scott, our new leader, with Chris Wright, the 15 car on the front row as well. And Lamar Scott able to pull out front of that 15, barely.
Now we have a good battle here with the 18 not involved at this point, but he's coming. He's on the inside of Hingorani right here. You see him, and we got a side-by-side battle. Maybe a little contact between Tony and the 25 and Isabella in the 55.
So Wallich maybe not going to be as nice as he was last time, climbing back through the field.
Yeah, it shouldn't take him long, though. As good as that car is, you see him moving now around Breidinger. That is for the 5th position right there. Isabella right in front of him. That's a 4th spot. Isabella actually lost a spot to Perez on that restart.
So Wallich up into 5th as he goes underneath the 25 of Breidinger.
And we're going to call that. I tell you, Tony's hanging in there better than I thought. I thought he would be able to dispatch her fairly quickly, but she's really doing a nice job hanging in there.
Really working that steering wheel. You can see inside the 25 car. She is. Nose is back out front, and now with Robusto right in front of that battle.
You know, that rear end could be moved a little bit for the 18. He doesn't seem to be nearly as strong as he was before. I thought he would just easily drive by Tony and go try to catch the 55 of Robusto, but he's struggling right now.
Now the 25 gets to the bumper of Robusto.
He doesn't have the forward drive, Brent, that he did before.
Oh.
You see him get the car turned in the center, and he wasn't able to accelerate like he has been earlier.
This will be a good test for him with a car that's clearly not 100%. Meantime, Breidinger to the inside of Robusto, trying to get there.
Tony doing a nice job here. Got the free pass earlier in the race. Now battling up inside the top 5. Trying to grab that 4th spot from Isabella, who's been strong this whole night. Great night for these two ladies.
Yeah, two talented young women doing battle here for 4th.
Isabella was able to use the 0-3 of Alex Club for a pick to stay in front of Tony.
10 laps till the next race break. Mandatory caution. No positions will change on the speedway. Get 5 minutes to change tires and fill it with gas. There's the 25 again. Breidinger underneath Robusto.
Almost a little bit of contact.
So Wallich is right there. The 18 has led almost all the way tonight, but then got in trouble, brought out the caution, fell back to 8th. He's moved to 6th, but that's as far as he's gotten.
There must be some issues that he's fighting with right now, as fast as that car's been. What a nice corner by Tony, able to turn under Isabella, keep that nose up beside that left rear quarter panel.
See all the tape on the hood of that 55, and now the 25 goes door to door with Robusto and then backs out of it in the turn.
Just over 5 laps till the next race break. I don't think there's no reason for the 18 of Sawallisch to be riding right now. He knows that he's going to be able to put tires on here in another 5 laps. So I think, and obviously he would like to have as much track position back as he can get. So I think he's doing all he can do right now. It's going to be up to Matt Ross to figure out what's wrong with that car. If that rear end is moved around, there's not a lot he can do to repair that, but he may be able to adjust around it for what William may need.
Meantime, LeVar Scott in the 6 car has taken advantage. He's got a 1-second lead on Chris Wright. LeVar Scott began the night second in points here in the ARCA Menards series. He's got the advantage with 78 to go.
What a big night it could be for LeVar Scott. Possibly getting his first win and the first win of the year by one of our regulars.
16 starts, 8 times in the top 5. His best finish second.
Yeah, second, fourth, and third his last 3 starts this year.
He's coming
on the short tracks.
And sometimes you need a little bit of luck, and he has gotten it here tonight with a late wreck of the leader, the 18 Sawallisch, and now Scott has the top spot.
You see Perez hanging in there in third. He's working hard to hold on to that 3rd spot. You could see him sideways off the corner. Caution.
So there's your race break, the second and final race break of the night. Comes with 75 to go, and now 74 here at Elko with Scott in the lead, Chris Wright second, and our points leader, the 2 car of Andres Perez, in 3rd. Sawallisch back in 6th. Got to get new tires and gasoline from Elko. The race under caution. ARCA Menards Series Racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers the freedom to explore. And by Reese's. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's Not Sorry. Getting down to the closing laps here at Elko. With a lead change late, the 6 car of LeVar Scott has got the advantage here in the Shore Lunch 250 on this 3/8 of a mile oval. During this short track portion of the schedule, race 12 of 20, the 18 of William Sawallisch with damage that they are working on during this second scheduled race break. And when they start rolling off once again, we will have 72 to go.
That looks like a new left rear tire on that 18. Heather reported that they were asking the ARCA officials to take a look at it, and it looks like that is a new tire. You can see by the new letters of the General there. That's obviously the old left front, because you can see where some of the lettering was rubbed off that.
They did a heck of a job in those 5 minutes, right? With that
they did.
Rear left.
Yeah, the quarter panel now looks exactly like it did when they started. I'm sure they're able to get the crush panel that's inside of that beat back around so it clearanced itself.
Well, depending on the caution situation, in our experience, these last 70 or so laps are going to roll off quick.
Yeah, and the patience goes out the window a little bit when we get down towards the end too, because you've got right now our top 5 drivers have never been to victory lane in the National Series. LeVar Scott, Chris Wright, Andres Perez, Isabella Robusto, and Tony Bringer. So there's going to be some hungry drivers down there. And then you have Sawallisch. If they were able to make repairs and make that car better, then there he is looming and lurking back in the 6th spot.
I certainly wouldn't bet against Sawallisch yet tonight.
Either. But there's a lot of good cars for him to work his way through.
Okay, more updates with Heather, starting with the 15. Chris Wright in that 15, running second behind the 6 of LeVar Scott. Perez, the points leader, is in 3rd, and then you mentioned Robusto and Breidinger, each trying to become the first woman ever to win an ARCA Menards Series race in the National Series. Good storyline. So was Sawallisch in 6th after his dominance. I mean, this thing really has gotten shaken up, to your point.
I was curious to see which way LeVar Scott would go for this restart. It looks like he's going to go to the bottom of the racetrack. There he is right there. Remember, he's the control car, so he's the only guy that knows when he's going to go. But again, this is not a restart zone like we have in the National Series. This is a restart line, so he can't wait too long, because if he waits till after that restart line, then the flagman will start the race, and the 15 of Chris Wright would be okay to go. But it happens so quickly. But I'm sure LeVar Scott is going to be on the button, because he wants to beat that 15 down to the corner.
Off turn 4. Scott to the inside of Chris Wright. Back under green.
Great start by Wright on the outside.
LeVar Scott with a 2-car. Perez right on his bumper.
LeVar Scott still has his nose on the outside, that right rear quarter panel. Now LeVar Scott is clear.
Scott is clear of Wright. And now trying to get underneath Wright is Andres Perez. The 55 of Robusto in 4th.
I'm sure LeVar Scott would love to see a friendly face of that 2-car of Andres Perez in 2nd.
Here comes Sawalich back into the top 5.
Isabella Robusto trying to make her way to the outside of the 2 of Andres Perez. She knows that 18 of Sawalich is coming.
Good racing. Sawalich trying to get to Robusto. Perez running 3rd. LeVar Scott out front. 64 laps to go here at Elko.
Slight contact a little bit.
Sawalich not wasting time on the 55 of Robusto.
Has position on the inside. Let's see if he can get the power down. Isabella doing a nice job hanging with Sawalich on the outside. Look at the momentum she has up off the corner.
Great job by Robusto. But he's right there.
Yeah, the 18 car may be better than it was, but it's not as good as it was at the beginning. Oh, contact. Hard contact between the 18 of Sawalich and the 55 of Robusto.
Tremendous short track racing here in the battle for 4th with 61 laps remaining.
Yeah, the 18 is not as good as it was before for sure. Great battle though here with Isabella Robusto.
They did a tremendous job of getting that hood taped down on the 55 after contact earlier for her.
What an impressive job here by Isabella Robusto, racing with William Sawalich, the class of the field for the majority of this race.
And now Sawalich pulls in front, but the 55 is right there. Now she goes to the inside.
I don't think Sawalich can get off the corner like he was earlier. See, Isabella is able to pull that nose inside of Sawalich. Now Sawalich is going to be able to get around the lap car, the one that actually caused his damage, Michael Maples, the 99.
Sawalich runs 4th.
We'll watch the lap times and see how fast that Sawalich is. Clean racetrack. He has clean racetrack, but he's certainly worried about that 55 of Isabella Robusto at the same time, because she is not letting him get away.
Finally, he's able to maybe get a little bit there.
Just a tiny bit of breathing room.
Well, here's a Reese's sweet move of the race, and we just saw it lap after lap. Fantastic racing. And the 18 was able to get it done without a ton of contact.
Yeah, that one corner right there was really the only 2 times these cars made contact. But Isabella hung right in there, but the 18 was finally able to prevail to grab that 4th spot.
Visit ARCARacing.com on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time to see who is crowned Reese's sweet move of the race. Perhaps it'll be that one. The 18 up into 4th. He wants to make a move for the lead, but as you've alluded to, it's just not the same car as he had for much of the night.
Now Sawalich is the 2nd or the 3rd fastest car the last several laps on the racetrack, and right now he's going to lose that spot back to Isabella Robusto.
She's right there. He gets turned just a little bit.
He's fighting that car right now. It's not what it was at the beginning of this race.
going to have all he can do to hold off Isabella for these last 50 laps.
Phil, so many times we've seen him with the dominant race car. Is it good for him to have a night like this where he has to have a car that he's fighting?
Well, experience-wise, maybe. I'm sure he's not going to feel that way at the end of this race because he had the dominant car, led all but one lap that LeVar Scott was able to lead on a restart. But you see them chasing as hard as they're battling. They're catching Andres Perez right there in the third spot.
Perez, the points leader, runs in third. He's 2.5 seconds back of the leader, Scott. Sawallich is right there, followed by Robusto. This will be a good battle here for third.
I think both these cars will get by the two of Perez as quickly as they chased him down once they got single file. LeVar Scott saying, Andres, keep them behind you. I just as soon not see anybody in my mirror. He's got almost a second-half lead over Chris Wright right now. But Chris Wright was the fastest car on the racetrack that last lap.
Scott, Perez, Chevrolet teammates. Max Siegel.
Oh, tough brakes.
Yeah, 32, man. He's had tough brakes throughout the season, and he's got issues. Christian Rose back on pit road.
There's that battle for third. Sawallich able to work his way underneath the two of Perez. He's going to get that spot. Isabella's probably going to come with him. And she moves him a little bit.
55 able to move the two up the track, and Robusto follows through behind the 18 of Sawallich into fourth.
That was really a veteran move by Isabella Robusto. She knew she was going to have some room when she got down to the corner. So she made sure that she was going to have some room because she had a lap car on the inside. So she needed not to be put in a position to be picked, and did a nice job.
42 to go. LeVar Scott out in front by just over a second.
Chris Wright's been able to trim almost a half a second off that lead. But a lot of times you get a leader get in traffic passing a lap car and they'll lose a couple tenths of a second. LeVar Scott making his way around Amber Balkan. Remember, Amber had trouble early on in this race. She's fought back to the 12th position where she is right now, staying with it.
Van Alst, a disappointing 17th last week. He's climbed back in the top 10 in 9th in the 35 car, but right now it's LeVar Scott at the point of this one with 39 to go. A short lunch 250 on FS1 from Elko Speedway in Minnesota. 6 to go at Elko. The 6th car out front looking for his first career win in the ARCA Menards series. That is LeVar Scott. But William Sawallich is into third, and he is coming strong in that 18 Joe Gibbs Toyota.
Been watching the scoring monitor. Ooh, you see the 15 sideways. That's going to open the bottom up for the 18 of Sawallich. He has a lap car, though. It could get in his way. Bryce Hageberg.
Sawallich got wrecked by a lap car, fell to 8th. He's all the way back to third, and now making the move. Trying to make the move on the 15 of Chris Wright and get in a second and then take aim at the leader, LeVar Scott. Gives him a bump. Trying to get underneath is the 18.
Yeah, just over 20 laps to go. It's time to go. And he knows that. He knows it's time to go. So many lap cars have gotten his way. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were in the right spot, but nonetheless, they were in his way. See if he can get that car turned and try to get underneath the 15 of Chris Wright. Not able to do it that corner. Right now, LeVar Scott is a big Chris Wright fan.
Huge. The team tried the outside on the 15.
He's there. He's there.
Bump and run for William Sawallich. 21 to go. Now 20.
See another bump.
Gets him slightly sideways. Trying to make the pass on the inside.
He's going to have a lap car to deal with. Who the Sawallich's going to be able to go by the 11 on the inside.
11 got in the way of the 15, and Sawalich into second. 19 to go. Sawalich for the moment into second, and now takes aim at the leader, LeVar Scott.
Here he is. You see the gap there, about 8-10 car lengths. Let's see with clean racetrack who's the fastest car. LeVar Scott keeping that car right down on the bottom. That last lap, fastest car on the racetrack, William Sawalich by about 0.2 of a second, and the caution's out.
Exactly what the 18 wanted and what LeVar Scott did not need with 17 laps to go.
Oh boy.
Some twists and turns here tonight.
That's the 12 Ryan Roulette. Spun around on the backstretch. Best career finish last week for Ryan Roulette of 8th. Right now he's being shown in the 14th position if he can get that car refired.
You mentioned in the break that if we had another caution and a restart, it'd be tough to bet against the 18. Fair
Yeah, but that's when he was going to be running in the 3rd spot, so he was going to start on the inside of the 2nd row, and I felt like he would probably be able to get possibly that 2nd spot from the car, whoever started on the outside. Now I'm interested to see which way LeVar Scott goes. We know he chose the inside for that last restart, and he was able to get the measure of the 15 of Chris Wright. But now with Sawalich, does that change his thinking any? Is he going to maybe go the outside and give Sawalich the inside?
So perhaps the 18 would have been better off not making the pass on the 15.
Yeah, but you don't know that you can't bank on the caution coming out.
15 to go. 14 laps.
LeVar Scott may choose the outside. You never know, and give the inside to Sawalich.
One of our storylines off the top, we mentioned coming in that Venturini needed a bounce back here tonight. Right now, the Venturini car is running 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th. Those are 4 of the 5 cars.
Yeah, way better than what they had to go through last week at Salem. I don't think as an organization they've ever had a night like they did at Salem.
Another tough one though for Amber Balkan. She's the 5th of those 5 cars. Well, running 12.
Yeah, she battled back. Yeah.
LeVar Scott and William Sawalich. And Chris Wright is there. Busto has had a nice night. Perez running 5th. After last week.
Can the 6 of LeVar Scott join what an illustrious group of drivers that have run for Rev Racing and graduated from Rev Racing? We know the latest was Nick Sanchez, who won the championship 2 years ago in ARCA. Rajah Caruth was a teammate to Nick Sanchez. He's made the move now. He's a winner in the Truck Series as well. But prior to them, we've had some great drivers that have come through this organization and got their first start in what at the time was the K&N East Series, which now is the ARCA Menards East. There's some of them right there. Bubba Wallace back in the East back in 2010 and 11. How about Kyle Larson? Great racer, one of the best we've ever had. He drove for Rev Racing. Daniel Suarez, a winner in the Cup Series. There's Nick Sanchez and Rajah Caruth that we were talking about. So could LeVar Scott be the next guy on this list? And he's got Andres Perez, our point leader, right behind him. What a great season it's shaping up to be for the 2 from Rev Racing.
Absolutely. Those 2, the top 2 in points. They're both running top 5 tonight. Scott in 1st, Perez in 5th. They are waving off the 1 to go. A little bit of precipitation in the area.
You got to be kidding me.
How many twists and turns? Listen, after last week when it was kind of a ho-hum, Sawalich dominates start to finish. Interesting things happening.
Well, we knew when you said at the top of the show that there was threatening weather. That's why they put that first race break at 125, so we would get halfway without having a race break at 75. Then I looked at the radar a little while ago, and I thought we were going to be fine at the end of this thing, and probably would have had we not got the caution for Ryan Roulette spin. But nonetheless, we're going to be cheated out of a bang finish. I'm going to tell you that if this race can't restart.
LeVar Scott has never been happier to see rain.
It's pouring. It's pouring as far as he's concerned.
Yeah. Lightning. There's got to be lightning, thunder everywhere.
Thunder. And the umbrellas are out, so that's a pretty good indication. I'm sure Sawallisch just say, hey, it's not that wet. It's not raining that hard. Oh, I wanted to see one more restart. Just one more restart to see what might happen.
Well, if it would have stayed green, too, you were mentioning the 18 was running off the fastest lap.
He was.
Would he have caught him? Would he have gotten it done under green?
And there's front bumpers on these cars, too.
So rain falling. For the moment, they've waved off the green with 9 to go. Coming to 1 to go right here.
Here we go.
Even with the few raindrops.
LeVar Scott is going to take the inside. Wow.
So Chris Wright will be on the inside of row 2 with Robusto to his outside. But it's Scott choosing the inside. So Sawallisch, if he's going to get it done, will have to do it from the top line.
Remember, the 6 is the control car. He is the one that dictates when they go, as long as he goes by that line. Look at the 18. Look how tight he's keeping them.
Setting up for a big finish here in Elko. Green flag back in the air. Good restart for the 6.
How about the 15 working to the inside of the 6? He's not there. Oh, look at the lightning in the background.
We've got lightning, we've got LeVar Scott, and we've got Chris Wright to the underneath of the 18. 3 wide. 3 wide racing with 7 to go, and now 6 laps at Elko. Wright and Sawallisch door to door battling for second. LeVar Scott has got the lead.
Nice job by Chris Wright battling that 18 of Sawallisch. Contact.
5 to go. Scott, then Sawallisch, then Wright.
Sawallisch has him cleared. He's got 3 laps to go to chase down that 6. 4 laps to go, excuse me.
LeVar Scott, Sawallisch has cleared the 15. Sawallisch trying to come all the way back from 8th. Sawallisch to the left rear quarter panel.
3 to go.
3 laps remaining at Elko. Scott trying to hold off Sawallisch. Sawallisch to the inside. Sawallisch for the lead. Door to door. Sawallisch and LeVar Scott. 2 laps to go. And William Sawallisch back out front.
What a comeback. Here comes LeVar Scott back to the inside. Contact.
Moves him up the track. The 6 and the 18. 1 lap to go at Elko.
There's going to be more contact right here.
Scott on the inside. Sawallisch on the outside. Bumping and banging down the backstretch. Off the turn. Sawallisch sideways. 3 wide. 3 sideways at the line.
Unbelievable. Our scoring monitor showing Sawallisch by 1/100th of a second, but they all 3 were sideways at the finish line.
Incredible finish here at Elko.
What a finish. Watch this, Brent. Checkered flag waving. All 3 of these cars sideways across the line. It looks like Sawallisch by the 18. We're getting official word that 18 is the winner. Look how close it is. What a finish.
Sawallisch, Scott, and Chris Wright. As good as you'll see here in the ARCA Menards series. As good as you will see in stock car racing at the line. Short track on a Saturday night, and William Sawalich comes back from 8th place to win it in the closing laps here at Elko.
What a comeback for this young man. And his car was not as good as it was at the start, but he just manhandled that car. And what a finish.
How about that, Phil, for our Reese's sweet move of the race? You got
I don't think there's much debate on that, honestly. We'll have to check back on the website, but what a finish here. All three of these drivers doing an outstanding job. All three of them deserve to win. Look at Chris Wright trying to take advantage of those cars beating and banging, and almost does it. How would you like to finish third and be 4/400ths of a second off the win, and you finish third?
Visit ARCARacing.com on Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern to see who's crowned Reese's sweet move of the race. I would think it's that right there for the win. The 18 of William Sawalich slides into victory lane for the 4th time in the last 5 races, and the 5th time this season for the 17-year-old from just down the road in Eden Prairie, Minnesota.
You see that clash, like you see LeVar Scott come over and congratulate William Sawalich.
Tough to take second like that, but you're right, all class from the 6.
Yeah, the initial pass by William Sawalich on LeVar Scott was without contact, and then LeVar Scott was able to turn right back under him. Then they had some contact, but to me it was just great short track racing. It wasn't a situation where Sawalich tried to take Scott out or vice versa. They just raced hard.
William Sawalich out of the car. A frenetic finish here at Elko Speedway.
See him congratulating every one of his crew members. He knows he didn't do it by himself.
By 1/1000th of a second. And you're right. They got it done on that second race break with 75 to go, banging out that left rear quarter panel. New tires as well. And here's Heather in victory lane.
And an electrifying finish for William Sawalich to pull off the victory here in front of his home crowd. You could hear him go wild when they crossed the finish line. William, wow, what a finish there. You had to battle back from some adversity to take this victory, but take us through that final restart and the battle you had with the 6.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was one of the best races I've ever put together, and this team's ever put together. Just really shows our teamwork and our dedication towards this race, and obviously in front of the home crowd, this is awesome. I mean, this is the coolest thing ever to do this. And I was racing legend cars here 4 years ago, so it's pretty emotional. And I'm glad I can have my family here, all my friends here, most importantly the fans. I can't appreciate their support enough.
Was there any doubt in your mind that you wouldn't be able to get back to the front after that incident happened with lap traffic?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I just went really loose all of a sudden. I think from the left rear going down, obviously just lost a lot of rear grip. So I was a little worried there, but I mean, I trusted my team enough. I knew we were good enough, and we did it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Heather, thanks. Well done all night, and well done by that young man. Turns 18 in October. William Sawalich. 4 wins in his last 5 races. 1 last week at Salem. 5th win of the season. And he had to, you know, I asked you late in the race, is it good somehow that he had to face adversity? It felt like a dumb question, but he faced the adversity and he won the race.
He did, and he really did a nice job and learned a lot. That was a great learning experience for him, and just a super job.
Outstanding from Elko. What a finish it was. Sawalich wins. LeVar Scott 2nd. Chris Wright in 3rd. ARCA Racing returns to FS1 Friday, August 16th, 6 p.m. Eastern from Michigan International Speedway. For the entire ARCA broadcast team, good night from Elko, Minnesota.